The sky above the Theran colony world was burning. Red streaks crossed the atmosphere as fragments of destroyed ships rained down. The once calm city of Vareth was now a wasteland of smoke and shattered towers. Every alarm screamed across the ruins, echoing like cries for help that no one could answer. Raal, a young Theran technician, stumbled through the wreckage of a communication center. His arms were scratched and his breathing was heavy. The building had collapsed when an enemy strike hit its upper levels, but he refused to stop searching through the debris. Somewhere inside was the last functioning console that could reach the stars. "Come on," he whispered, pulling away a broken panel. Behind it, lights flickered weakly on a cracked control screen. He dropped to his knees and began working fast. The console's surface was covered with ash, but the ancient circuit still hummed faintly. The core Dominion ships filled the sky. They were dark, sharp, and shaped like blades moving in perfect formation. They were not here to conquer. They were here to erase. Every Theran knew that once the core decided a species was weak, they would destroy every trace of it to send a message. Raal tapped the controls and managed to power one transmitter. The screen blinked, showing static, then the faint outline of a galaxy map. He looked up through a gap in the ceiling. Beyond the smoke, the stars still shone. Somewhere out there, someone might be listening. He opened the frequency band and spoke, his voice shaking. "This is Raal of the Theran colony world Varus 3. We are under full attack by the core Dominion. Our defenses are gone. Our cities are destroyed. Please, if anyone can hear this, we beg for aid." He waited. The static buzzed, no reply. He tried again, this time boosting the signal strength beyond its safe limit. Sparks flew from the console. "This is Raal of the Theran people. Our coordinates are..." He sent the data through every open channel he could find. Outside, explosions rolled across the horizon. The core fleet unleashed another bombardment. The ground trembled. Raal clung to the console and pressed the send command one last time. "Please, someone, anyone." The screen flickered, then shut down completely. The power was gone. Raal sat in silence, the faint rumble of war echoing in the distance. His people were dying, and he had done the only thing left to do. Minutes later, the sound of engines roared above. A core gunship descended near the ruins. Raal crawled beneath fallen metal beams, holding his breath as armored soldiers landed. Their armor gleamed with silver patterns, their weapons humming with power. They scanned the area, searching for survivors. Raal stayed still. The soldiers walked close, speaking in their harsh, mechanical language. One of them stepped near his hiding spot. Raal gripped a sharp piece of metal in his trembling hand. He did not plan to survive, but he would not die without fighting. A sudden blast shook the ground. One of the soldiers looked up, shouting a warning. A Theran defense drone, still operational, swooped from the smoke and fired. The soldiers turned their weapons upward and destroyed it in seconds, but in the confusion, Raal slipped away into the dark tunnel below the building. He crawled through broken pipes and debris until he reached a lower maintenance chamber. There he found a small data core still glowing faintly. It recorded every message sent from the colony. He linked it to his wrist communicator, praying it had captured his distress call. The green light blinked once, confirming transmission. Somewhere across the galaxy, the message had left the dying world. 3 light-years away, on the fringe of the United Terran Command's patrol routes, a human ship named Vigilant Dawn floated in the emptiness. Its sensors scanned the void with precision, detecting radiation, signals, and even whispers of energy. Inside the command bridge, Captain Halden sat quietly, reviewing reports. He was a calm man, built from years of service in silent, dangerous places. Around him, the bridge crew worked in disciplined silence. The humans had spent decades avoiding galactic politics, preferring to stay on the edge of contact. The galaxy still remembered them as the Deathworlders, the ones who had survived the most hostile planet known to intelligent life. "Captain," said a communications officer, a young woman named Mira, "we've intercepted something unusual." Halden looked up. "Source?" "Unknown origin. Signal pattern is old, possibly Theran design. It's repeating on multiple frequencies." Halden stood and walked to her console. The audio was faint, broken by static, but the voice came through clearly enough to understand. "This is Raal of the Theran colony world Varus 3. We are under full attack by the core Dominion." The bridge fell silent. Everyone listened. The message repeated twice before the recording ended. Mira checked her instruments again. "It's authentic. The coordinates are on the far side of the Orion Spur. Halden crossed his arms. Core Dominion. They were part of the last council before the collapse, weren't they? Yes, sir. They're known for extermination raids. The Theran are peaceful traders. They can't fight back. Halden studied the map that appeared on the central hollow table. Any other responses to this call? None, sir. It seems no one else is answering. Halden's jaw tightened. Typical. The council still hides behind their treaties. He turned to his helmsman. Prepare a long-range transmission to Fleet Command. Priority 1. Minutes later, a link opened. The emblem of the United Terran Command appeared, followed by the calm face of Admiral Rowan. Captain Halden. Report. Admiral, we've received a distress call from the Theran. Core Dominion assault in progress. Their world is collapsing. They need immediate help. Rowan leaned forward slightly. Do we have confirmation of authenticity? Yes, Admiral. Coordinates verified. No other species have responded. The Admiral was silent for a moment. We have not intervened in galactic matters for 20 years, Captain. You know the Council still fears us. Halden's voice was steady. With respect, sir, the Council fears what we can do, not who we are. If we ignore this call, the Theran will be gone within a day. Rowan looked away, thinking. Behind him, the vast command room of Earth's orbital station glowed with activity. Finally, he spoke. How many ships in your sector? 4 patrol destroyers and 1 carrier group within jump range. Then you know what must be done. You'll take command of the strike. Protect the civilians first, neutralize the core if possible. Yes, Admiral. The transmission ended. Halden turned to his crew. Signal all nearby Terran units. Activate Operation Shelterfall. We move now. The bridge came alive. Officers rushed to their stations. The quiet human fleet that had watched from the shadows began to stir. Across the sector, warships came online. Massive carriers, destroyers, and sleek interceptors that had not seen battle in years. Their engines glowed blue, and their weapons powered up in silence. Mira watched as the coordinates of the Theran world locked onto the main display. Jump solution ready, sir. Halden took his seat. Engage. In the black of space, reality folded. The Vigilant Dawn and its escorting ships vanished in bursts of light. Moments later, they emerged near the Theran colony. Rahl was still in the underground chamber when the ground began to shake again. At first, he thought it was another core bombardment, but the vibrations were different. Deeper, stronger, rhythmic. He climbed up a maintenance ladder and reached the surface. The sky was filled with new lights. Dozens of objects had appeared, cutting through the clouds with precision. They were not core ships. Their hulls were black and silver, with markings no Theran had seen in generations. High above, a human fleet had arrived. The first ship in orbit, Horizon Lance, deployed a formation of smaller craft. They moved like a living wall, blocking core bombardment fire. When the Dominion ships turned their weapons toward the newcomers, the humans responded instantly. Bright lances of energy crossed the sky. One by one, core warships exploded. Rahl stared in disbelief. His eyes reflected the burning sky. For the first time in days, the sound of destruction felt like salvation. Inside the human flagship, Commander Halden watched the battle unfold. Target prioritization confirmed. Focus fire on capital ships. Leave escape routes for survivors. The human fleet was not reckless. Every movement was measured. Their fighters darted through enemy formations, disabling weapons before destroying engines. They moved with unity that no alien fleet could match. Minutes later, the core flagship tried to retreat. A beam from Horizon Lance sliced through its hull, splitting it in two. The rest of the fleet broke formation and fled into hyperspace. Enemy retreat confirmed, Mira reported. Halden nodded. Deploy medical shuttles to the surface. Get the civilians out. Set up a perimeter around the colony. On the ground, Rahl watched in silence as massive ships descended. Giant beams of light scanned the ruins, locating survivors. Robots and medics began pulling injured Theran from the rubble. For the first time, he felt the air grow calm again. A human shuttle landed nearby. The door opened and soldiers stepped out in armored suits with glowing visors. They moved carefully, scanning for threats but also helping every Theran they found. One of them approached Rahl and removed his helmet. "Are you the one who sent the signal?" the soldier asked. Rahl nodded weakly. "Yes, I didn't think anyone would come." The human smiled faintly. "We heard you. Earth always hears a cry for help." Rahl looked toward the horizon where the sky still glowed from battle. "Who are you people?" The morning light on Varas 3 came through a sky filled with smoke. The Theran survivors gathered near the ruins of what was once their capital city. For days they had lived in fear, waiting for the end. Now, they watched the stars with disbelief. The night before, a fleet of unknown ships had driven the core Dominion away. None of the Theran had ever seen such ships before. Raal stood beside a damaged transport platform, his hands trembling. Around him, rescue teams moved quickly. Human soldiers wearing dark armor with glowing emblems carried medical crates and power generators. They were tall, strong, and calm. Their faces showed focus but not cruelty. Every move was careful and disciplined. When the Theran looked at the humans, they saw both power and mystery. The humans spoke few words, using gestures and translators. Their ships hovered above the atmosphere like giant guardians. To the Theran, they looked like beings from another age, warriors who had returned from legend. Raal watched one of the human medics kneel beside an injured child. The medic's gloved hands were gentle as he wrapped a thermal blanket around the child. Raal felt something he had not felt in weeks: trust. Commander Halden walked through the ruined streets with a small group of officers. His helmet was clipped to his belt, and his eyes moved across the landscape with quiet concern. Every step of his boots stirred dust and ash. He stopped near a broken statue of the Theran founder and looked toward the distant mountains. Mira, the communications officer, followed behind him. "Evacuation of the southern district is complete," she said. "We've secured 2,000 civilians so far. Our ships are ready for orbital transfer if needed." Halden nodded. "Good work. Set up a perimeter on the ridgeline. I don't want any surprises." The officers saluted and moved out. Halden remained still for a moment, staring at the shattered skyline. He had seen many wars, but this one was different. The Theran were not soldiers. They were builders, thinkers, and explorers. The attack on them had no purpose except to spread fear. A Theran elder approached slowly. Her name was Malir, and her silver skin reflected the dim sunlight. She was old enough to remember when the Theran first joined the Galactic Network. "Commander Halden," she said softly. "You came when no one else did. Why?" Halden turned toward her. "Because your people called for help," he said. "And because doing nothing is not what we stand for. You risked your fleet for strangers," she said. "The Council once said humans had turned away from the galaxy." Halden's voice was calm. "We never turned away. We only watched and waited. The galaxy forgot that Earth remembers everything." Malir lowered her head in respect. "Then we owe you more than we can ever repay." Halden shook his head. "You owe us nothing. Just live. Rebuild. That will be enough." High above the planet, the United Terran fleet formed a wide defensive ring. The main ship, Horizon Lance, coordinated every movement. Its hull shimmered under sunlight, covered in defensive armor that had withstood the void for decades. Smaller destroyers and carriers orbited nearby, their engines glowing like steady stars. Inside the command bridge, screens displayed real-time data. The crew was calm, professional, and focused. A quiet hum filled the air as operators tracked any approaching signals. "Status report," said Mira over the comm. "Long-range sensors are clean," replied a tactical officer. "No sign of core reinforcements." Halden entered the bridge. His presence brought instant silence. "Send reconnaissance drones to the outer rim. I want early warning if the Dominion tries anything." "Yes, Commander." Mira turned from her console. "Sir, Fleet Command is requesting a situation update. They want visual confirmation of the relief operations." Halden nodded. "Send them our full report. Add this: the Theran colony is secure, but we expect retaliation." Across the stars, the transmission reached Earth. In a secure room aboard the orbital station, Admiral Rowan and several senior officers watched the live feed. The images showed Terran soldiers helping Theran civilians, rebuilding shelters, and distributing supplies. Rowan leaned forward. "They still remember how to rebuild even after years of isolation," he said quietly. "I thought the old spirit might fade." A strategist beside him replied, If anything, it has only grown sharper. The galaxy will be watching this. Rowan nodded slowly. Let them watch. Let them see what humanity truly stands for. Back on Varus 3, Ral followed a group of Theran engineers who were being trained by human technicians. The humans had brought portable energy cores that could power entire towns. They showed the Theran how to rebuild communication towers and restore clean water systems. One of the human engineers, a woman named Talia, explained the process patiently. This generator will stabilize your power grid. Once you link it with your local network, your systems will run on minimal energy loss. Ral listened carefully, trying to memorize every instruction. You share this technology so easily, he said. Aren't you afraid we might misuse it? Talia smiled. Knowledge is only dangerous when it is hidden. We believe in teaching others to stand on their own. Ral nodded, feeling inspired. You speak with certainty. Are all humans like this? She laughed softly. No, not all. But enough of us remember what it means to start again after losing everything. Later that evening, the humans set up bright field lights around the camp. The Theran gathered near the warmth of portable heaters. Children laughed for the first time since the war began. Some soldiers shared rations with the locals, and quiet music played from a small human device. Halden stood at the edge of the camp, watching. He felt a sense of calm he had not known for years. Mira walked over to him, holding a datapad. Sir, the core communication network has gone silent. But there's movement near the Hellies sector, she said. Halden frowned. That's close to their border fleet. They're regrouping. Yes, sir. It looks like they're calling for reinforcements. Halden turned his gaze to the stars. Then they're making their next mistake. He opened a channel to the fleet. All ships, maintain readiness level 2. If they come back, we meet them before they reach this world. The next morning, a strange silence covered the sky. The Theran looked up to see faint streaks appearing at the edge of the atmosphere. Mira's console blinked red. Incoming signatures detected. Multiple ships, they're not broadcasting identification. Halden walked to her station. How many? 30 at least, maybe more. Estimated time to contact, 10 minutes. The bridge lights dimmed as the fleet went into battle mode. Across the formation, human warships turned to face the incoming threat. Weapon systems powered up. The calm of space became tense. Open a wideband channel, Halden ordered. Mira activated the comm link. This is Commander Halden of the United Terran Command. Identify yourselves immediately. Static answered at first. Then a deep, rough voice came through. This system belongs to the core dominion. Leave now, human, or be destroyed. Halden remained silent for a moment, then said evenly, We don't leave people behind. You attacked a peaceful world. You will not do it again. The core voice laughed, harsh and cold. You think your machines can stop us? The galaxy fears us. Halden's tone stayed calm. The galaxy fears the wrong people. He gave a signal. The main display lit up as Terran ships locked on targets. Defensive grid active. Fire when ready. The sky over Varus 3 flashed with light as human cannons fired beams of precision energy. Each shot found its mark. The core ships tried to return fire, but their systems couldn't break through the human shields. The difference in technology was overwhelming. Down on the surface, the Theran watched in awe. The human fleet moved like a single living creature, every maneuver planned, every strike exact. The core fleet began to fall apart. One by one, their ships turned and retreated into hyperspace. Within minutes, the sky cleared. The humans had won again without losing a single ship. Mira exhaled. All enemy signatures are gone, Commander. Halden nodded. Keep scanning. I want confirmation before we stand down. The bridge lights shifted back to normal. Crew members exchanged quiet glances of pride. They had protected an entire world, and they knew the message it would send. In the following days, news of the battle spread across the galaxy. Thousands of alien stations picked up the recordings from observation drones. They saw human ships appearing from nowhere, defending the weak and then vanishing again. Some species cheered. Others trembled. The core Dominion tried to hide their defeat, but the images could not be contained. The legend of the Deathworlders had returned to life. On Varus 3, rebuilding continued at full pace. The Theron constructed new shelters, schools, and hospitals with human assistance. The two species worked side by side. Raal often helped the engineers and translators. He learned how the humans coordinated through quiet trust rather than fear. One evening, Raal stood near the edge of the landing zone where the massive Horizon Lance hovered in orbit. He spoke to Mira through a communication link. "Your people changed everything here," he said. "You gave us hope again." Mira smiled from her console. "Hope is the first thing humans bring wherever we go. Keep it alive, you'll need it." Raal looked up at the stars. "Will you leave soon?" "Soon," she said. "But we'll be watching. The galaxy knows your name now. The core won't dare come back." Raal turned toward the city lights that were slowly returning. "If they ever do, we'll be ready. You showed us that strength isn't only about weapons. It's about standing for what is right." The human fleet traveled through silent space, engines glowing like cold stars. Every ship moved in perfect formation, guided by the flagship Horizon Lance. Inside the command bridge, Commander Halden stood before the wide viewport. The stars stretched endlessly, but his focus was on a single destination, the core Dominion's nearest stronghold. The humans had not come for conquest. Their mission was simple, to make sure the core could never attack another peaceful world. The Theron were rebuilding, but if the Dominion remained free, more worlds would suffer. Humanity had seen enough of such cruelty in their history. Mira walked up beside Halden, holding a datapad filled with reports. Scouts confirmed the core fleet regrouped at their forward base in the Hellas sector. "They have over 60 ships, including 3 heavy cruisers." Halden nodded slowly. "And how many ships do we have ready?" 37 warships plus 2 carrier groups. Reinforcements from the Sol frontier are still days away." Halden looked out the window again. "That will be enough." She hesitated. "Sir, Fleet Command has not given full authorization for engagement." Halden turned toward her. His calm eyes held the weight of years of duty. "If we wait, more will die. The Dominion will strike again. I won't let that happen." Mira understood his tone. She gave a small nod. "Then I'll prepare the fleet for combat readiness." Far away in the black reaches of Hellas space, the core Dominion fleet drifted around a massive station. The core commander, Lord Varric, watched the star maps with narrowed eyes. His species had ruled through fear for centuries. No one had ever dared strike back until now. He tapped the metal surface of his chair. "Those Deathworlders fight without hesitation," he said to his officers. "They protected the Theron as if they were their own." Another core officer, smaller in frame, replied, "They are a violent species. The old records warned us about them. Even the Council feared them once." Varric's voice grew sharp. "Fear is for the weak. We will remind the galaxy who commands the void." He looked to his weapons chief. "Prepare all ships. When the humans arrive, we will crush them and broadcast their defeat across the stars." The core fleet began powering up their weapons. Dozens of ships aligned around the station. To them, the humans were just another enemy to be erased. They did not understand that humanity never fought for fame or conquest. Humans fought for survival, and when survival meant protecting others, they fought even harder. The human fleet arrived in the Hellas sector hours later. Space rippled as their ships exited hyperspace. One by one, their black silhouettes appeared against the pale light of a distant sun. "Contact established," Mira reported. "Core ships detected. They are already in battle formation." Halden gave a short command. "Hold position. Activate stealth screens. Let them make the first move." The Horizon Lance and its escorts dimmed their exterior lights. Their profiles blended with the shadows of space. The humans had learned long ago that victory often came to those who waited quietly before striking. Minutes passed. The core fleet detected faint distortions in the sector and immediately opened fire. Energy bolts lit up the darkness, cutting through empty space. "Enemy has begun engagement," Mira said calmly. "Return fire," Halden ordered. "Target their lead cruisers. Disable propulsion first." Human cannons responded with deadly precision. Every shot was calculated, every strike efficient. Core ships tried to maneuver, but the humans anticipated each move. The first cruiser lost power and drifted helplessly. Inside Horizon Lance, the bridge crew worked like a single mind. Data streamed across every screen. The calm voices of operators echoed through the room as they called out target locks and shield. Status, Sector 3 clear, a gunner announced. Enemy squadron retreating. In Sector 6, another replied. The battle grew. Intense but not chaotic. The humans fought with quiet discipline, while the core roared commands filled with anger. Within 20 minutes, half the core fleet was disabled. Barrick slammed his fist against the armrest. Impossible. They are outnumbered. His officer trembled. Their weapons are too advanced. They strike faster than our sensors can react. Barrick turned toward the tactical display. Then we take the fight to them directly. All ships charge. Ram their formation if needed. The core ships surged forward in desperation. Halden saw it coming. Mira, deploy intercept wings. Cut them off. Human fighters launched from carriers in perfect lines. Their engines glowed blue as they formed walls of moving defense. The small ships danced between enemy cruisers, firing with sharp precision. They disabled engines and weapons instead of destroying entire ships outright. Humanity had learned control even in war. Down on the bridge, the tension reached its peak. Multiple enemy ships losing coordination, Mira reported. Push forward, Halden ordered. End this before they regroup. The Horizon Lance advanced slowly, its massive hull moving through the battle like a mountain through mist. Its main cannon charged, releasing a blinding beam that struck the core command vessel. The shockwave rippled across space, silencing enemy communication for several seconds. When the light faded, Varick's ship was broken, drifting in silence. The remaining core vessels scattered. Mira looked up from her console. All enemy ships are retreating, sir. Halden's tone remained steady. Stand down, weapons. Begin rescue operations. Retrieve any escape pods within range. The crew moved quickly. Humanity never left survivors adrift, even enemies. It was their code. Hours later, silence returned to the Hellies sector. Wreckage floated through the void, illuminated by distant sunlight. Human ships collected data and transmitted the results to Fleet Command. Halden stood near the observation deck, watching fragments of destroyed cruisers pass by. Mira joined him quietly. It's over. The core base has fallen. Their command chain is broken. Halden gave a slow nod. It's never over, Mira. Someone always tries again. That's why we stay ready. She looked at him curiously. Do you ever get tired of fighting? He paused. Fighting doesn't tire me. Watching people suffer does. If we can stop that even for one world, it's worth every battle. Mira smiled faintly. Then humanity still remembers what it means to protect. Halden turned toward the stars. That's what makes us who we are. Back on Varus 3, Ral and the Theron people received news of the human victory. The message came directly from the Horizon Lance. It played across every screen in the rebuilt city. The humans had not only saved their world, they had destroyed the core threat at its source. Ral stood in the central plaza, surrounded by his people. Cheers filled the air. For the first time, the Therans saw true unity among themselves. The humans had shown them how courage and hope could turn despair into strength. Ral looked toward the sky, where faint lights of orbiting human satellites could still be seen. They fought for us when no one else would, he said to Malir, who stood beside him. How do we ever repay them? Malir smiled kindly. By living. By proving their belief in us was not wasted. The Theron began rebuilding faster than ever. Schools reopened, new towers rose, and gardens flourished again. Children studied human technology and learned about Earth's history. How a species born on a dangerous world had learned to master both science and compassion. Meanwhile, across the galaxy, the human victory caused ripples of fear and admiration. In the grand halls of the Galactic Council, representatives of dozens of species gathered. Their discussions filled the chamber with confusion and alarm. A counselor from the Varan League spoke first. The Deathworlders have returned. They attacked the core dominion without asking for approval. They act on their own authority. Another counselor replied, They acted to defend the innocent. Are we to condemn them for that? The hall erupted in debate. Some feared that humanity's strength could challenge their power. Others saw hope in their actions. The council leader, an old being with crystal blue skin, raised a hand for silence. We must decide what the return of Earth means. Do we call them aggressors or protectors? No one could answer. The galaxy remembered too well what humans were capable of. When they first joined the interstellar community, Their resilience had amazed everyone. But when wars spread centuries ago, humanity withdrew, refusing to take part in endless power struggles. Now they had returned only to protect, not to rule, and that difference made the galaxy uncertain. Inside the Horizon Lance, the crew gathered in the command hall for a quiet debriefing. Admiral Rowan's holographic image appeared above the table. "Commander Halden," he said, "Fleet Command has received your report. Your actions were beyond expectation. You have not only destroyed the core stronghold, but also restored faith in what humanity stands for." Halden replied respectfully, "The credit belongs to the crew, Admiral. They fought for peace, not pride." Rowan nodded. "The Council has already begun discussions about our return to the Alliance. Some welcome it, others fear it. Either way, they cannot ignore us anymore." Mira looked toward Halden after the transmission ended. "What happens now?" He folded his hands behind his back. "Now we watch. We rebuild our presence quietly. If others seek war, they'll know Earth still answers the call." That night, as the ship drifted near a calm nebula, Mira walked alone through the observation deck. The soft light from distant stars reflected on her uniform. Ryle's final message from the Theron played quietly on the speakers. "This message is for the people of Earth," his voice said. "You came to us when hope was—" The human fleet's victory spread across the galaxy faster than any ship could travel. Every news network, every listening post, and every council channel repeated the same words again and again. The Deathworlders had returned. On dozens of alien worlds, people gathered in public halls to watch the recorded images. They saw the core Dominion's fleet break apart under the precision of human fire. They saw human soldiers helping the Theron rebuild their homes. They saw the flag of Earth rise again, not as a symbol of fear, but as one of hope. But not everyone saw hope. Some saw danger. In the shining towers of the Galactic Council capital, leaders met in urgent discussion. The Great Hall was filled with hundreds of species, each with their own fears and ambitions. The walls shimmered with blue light, and the air buzzed with overlapping voices. "The humans attacked a sovereign state without council approval," one delegate shouted. "They acted to protect civilians," another answered. "The core were committing crimes against a peaceful world. Someone had to stop them." The debate continued for hours. The oldest council members remembered when humans first joined the interstellar community centuries ago. They remembered their energy, their courage, and their unpredictable nature. Earth had been both a source of innovation and fear. Finally, the council leader, an elder known as Siral, raised his voice above the noise. "Enough. The humans acted with purpose. But we must decide if their purpose aligns with ours." No one responded. The chamber fell silent. On the flagship Horizon Lance, Commander Halden reviewed new reports from across the galaxy. The core Dominion was collapsing. Without their main fleet, their colonies were surrendering to smaller neighboring powers. In the Outer Rim, pirate fleets were abandoning their strongholds, unwilling to face human patrols. Mira entered the command room holding a datapad. "The Council has sent a request," she said. "They want you to attend a hearing through live projection. They'll question your decision to attack the core without permission." Halden didn't look up from his screen. "Did they question the core when they destroyed the Theron cities?" Mira sighed. "You know how politics works. They talk after the damage is done." Halden finally turned to face her. His expression was calm, but his eyes carried quiet strength. "We didn't fight for their approval. We fought for what was right. Let them question me. I'll answer." She gave a short nod. "The transmission begins in 1 hour." Halden walked to the large viewing window at the edge of the room. Below, Varus 3 glowed like a small jewel in space. The Theron cities were alive again, lights shining where darkness once covered everything. He thought of Raal and the other survivors who now looked to the stars with hope instead of fear. 1 hour later, the bridge of Horizon Lance filled with blue holographic light as the Galactic Council connection came online. Hundreds of faces appeared around Halden's image. Some looked curious, some angry, and a few proud. Council leader Siral spoke first. "Commander Halden of the United Terran Command, you stand before this assembly to answer for your actions in the Hellis sector. Your fleet crossed 3 restricted zones and destroyed a member state's stronghold without council authorization. Explain yourself." Halden's voice was steady. "The core Dominion attacked a peaceful world. They slaughtered civilians. No one responded to their call for help. My fleet did what others would not. A tall delegate from the Zorth Empire leaned forward. Your ships entered another nation's territory. That act is considered aggression under council law. Halden met his gaze. Aggression is when someone starts a war. Defense is when someone ends one. The council hall grew quiet. Cyril folded his hands. You speak boldly, Commander. But many here fear that your people's strength will disrupt the balance. The galaxy remembers the old wars when humanity's power grew too fast. Halden nodded slowly. Yes, the galaxy remembers. But you forget what made us strong. It was never conquest. It was survival. We learned long ago that power without purpose is destruction. That's why we stayed away. But when others suffer, we will not remain silent. A murmur spread through the chamber. Even those who feared humanity could not deny his words. Cyril tilted his head. Then tell us, Commander. What is Earth's purpose now? Halden looked directly into the projection lens. To protect those who cannot protect themselves. To remind the galaxy that peace is not kept by words alone, but by the courage to act when no one else will. The hall erupted again, some cheering, some protesting. Cyril raised a hand for silence. We will discuss this further. Until then, your fleet is ordered to stand down from offensive operations. Halden bowed slightly. Understood. But if another world calls for help, we will answer again. The transmission ended. Mira exhaled. You just told the entire galaxy that humanity will intervene again. Halden gave a faint smile. They needed to hear it. Back on Varus 3, life continued to grow. The Theran cities now shone with new energy towers and clean rivers. Children played in the rebuilt plazas. Human advisors still remained to teach and assist, but the Theran had regained their independence. Rahl worked as a communications officer for the new planetary network. Every day he listened to incoming transmissions from other worlds. Many were messages of gratitude and alliance. Some came from small civilizations who had suffered under stronger powers. They wanted to learn from the humans. One afternoon, a soft tone signaled an incoming message. Rahl opened it and saw a familiar face, Commander Halden. Rahl, Halden said, how are your people holding up? Rahl smiled. We are rebuilding faster than ever. Your people gave us tools and knowledge. You gave us hope. Halden nodded. Hope is stronger than any weapon. Keep building, Rahl. The galaxy is changing and the Theran will have a role to play. Do you really think so? Rahl asked. I know so, Halden replied. The next age will not belong to the strongest. It will belong to those who stand for others. You proved that courage can come from anywhere. Rahl's voice softened. And you proved that even Deathworlders can be guardians. Halden smiled. That's all we ever wanted to be. Far from Varus 3, inside the ruins of the core Dominion's main citadel, fragments of the old government still remained. A few surviving leaders sat in a dark chamber speaking quietly. The humans destroyed our fleets and crippled our empire, one said. But we are not finished. We can rebuild, another shook his head. You don't understand. They didn't destroy us with weapons. They destroyed our fear. No one will obey us now. The galaxy has seen what true strength looks like. The room fell silent. Outside the stars gleamed coldly. The age of the core was over. Back aboard Horizon Lance, Admiral Rowan arrived via shuttle from Earth to meet Halden in person. The fleet's officers gathered in the main hall to hear him speak. Rowan's voice carried authority and calm. The Council may question our methods, but they cannot question the results. We brought peace to an entire sector. We reminded the galaxy that Earth has not vanished. The crew stood at attention. Halden watched his admiral with respect. Rowan continued, Our work does not end here. We will establish a humanitarian command. Every fleet will carry supplies as well as weapons. We will be known not just as Deathworlders, but as protectors of life. Applause filled the hall. Mira exchanged a glance with Halden, her eyes bright with pride. After the meeting, she said quietly, You changed more than a battle, Commander. You changed how the galaxy sees us. Halden answered, Maybe. But we must keep earning that image every day. One good act does not erase centuries of fear. Mira nodded. Then we'll keep proving who we are. Weeks later, the fleet received a new signal from a distant region known as the Terran Belt. It was faint, nearly lost in static. The message was old, but the distress pattern was unmistakable. Mira ran diagnostics. It's another SOS. Coordinates lead to an uncharted colony. No council registry. Halden stood silent for a moment. The crew watched him, waiting. He finally said, Plot a course. If someone's calling for help, we answer. As the fleet prepared for jump, Mira looked at him. Even if the council says no? Halden smiled slightly. Especially if the council says no. The crew moved with renewed energy. Engines glowed and systems came alive. The fleet stretched across the stars, ready once again to bring light where darkness had taken hold. On Varus 3, Raal stood on a hill overlooking the city. The night sky shimmered with soft blue lights from orbiting satellites. Children pointed upward whenever they saw a distant flash of engines. To them, every bright streak across the sky meant the humans were still out there, guarding unseen worlds. Malir joined Raal on the hill. "They are leaving again," she said. Raal nodded. "Yes, but their promise remains. The galaxy knows the Deathworlders are watching." Malir looked thoughtful. "Do you think the council will try to control them?" Raal smiled faintly. "You can't control those who fight for what is right. You can only join them," she nodded slowly. "Then maybe this is the beginning of something greater than fear." Raal watched the stars brighten above. "The beginning of hope," he said softly. Far beyond the Theran world, the human fleet jumped into hyperspace. The stars stretched into long trails of light. Inside the command bridge, Halden looked out at the shifting glow of the hyperspace corridor. Mira stood nearby, checking the navigation console. "Destination locked," she said. "Estimated arrival in 4 hours." The fleet of the United Terran Command moved through hyperspace like a river of light. Every ship followed the same rhythm, steady and calm. The mission to the Theran world had ended, and now the humans were answering another call. But this time something about the signal felt different. It came from a region of space that no council map had marked. It was faint, broken and filled with strange interference. Commander Halden stood on the bridge of the Horizon Lance, his eyes fixed on the main display. "Status report," he said quietly. Mira checked her console. "Signal confirmed. The source is from the Alaran belt. The transmission pattern is old, possibly from a colony that predates the Council Age." Halden nodded. "Any signs of life?" "Not yet. Sensors are picking up fragments of debris and weak energy readings. The colony might be gone." Halden looked thoughtful. "Or it might be waiting for us to find it." He turned to his officers. "Prepare the fleet for entry into real space. Shields at full strength. Keep all communication lines open." Moments later, the ships dropped out of hyperspace. The stars returned, sharp and clear. Before them stretched the Alaran belt, a vast field of broken asteroids and drifting wrecks. The remains of old ships floated silently, their metal hulls scarred by time. The distress signal still played through static. It was a single repeating phrase, "Please help." "We are trapped." Mira adjusted the frequency. "Signal origin is close. I'm reading a small planet beyond the debris." Halden gave the order. "Take us in." The fleet moved carefully through the asteroid field. Small rocks bounced off the protective shields, glowing briefly before fading away. As they drew closer, the scanners revealed a world half covered in shadow. Its atmosphere was thin but stable. There were faint energy readings on the surface. "Looks like an outpost," Mira said. "Age estimate 200 years. Human design." Halden's brow furrowed. "Human design? But we don't have any records of a colony in this region." "That's what makes it strange," she replied. The fleet came into orbit around the planet. The surface looked gray and lifeless, but faint blue lights blinked near what appeared to be an old landing structure. "Send a recon team," Halden said. "Let's find out who sent that call." A small shuttle descended through the thin atmosphere, engines glowing against the dark sky. It landed near the lights, sending dust across the silent plain. The doors opened and a team of human soldiers stepped out. Their armor gleamed under the dim sunlight. At their front was Lieutenant Kellen, an experienced scout. He activated his visor and scanned the area. "Reading breathable air," he said. "Low oxygen but safe for short exposure." The team moved toward the lights. They found an old building made of steel and glass half buried in the ground. A faded symbol marked the entrance. It was the emblem of the early Terran colonization program. Kellen touched the door panel, and it opened with a groan. Inside, the lights flickered weakly. Dust covered everything. In the corner, an ancient communication console still blinked. "Commander, this is Kellen," he said over the comm. "We found the source of the signal. It's an old human colony structure. No life signs yet, but power systems are active." Halden's voice came through clearly. "Copy that. Proceed with caution. Recover any data you can." Kellen nodded to his team. They spread out, searching through the empty corridors. The air smelled of old metal and faint ozone. On one wall, they found writing in faded paint, names of settlers and the words, Project Dawn. This colony was lost centuries ago, one soldier whispered. Kellen accessed the central console. The screen flickered to life, showing old logs and recordings. He opened the last message. A woman's voice filled the room. This is Governor Ilara Hayes. Our colony has been cut off. The storm destroyed our orbit station. Supplies are low. If anyone ever hears this message, please remember us. The voice ended, replaced by static. Kellen stood silently for a moment. They never got help, he said softly. Another soldier pointed to the far side of the room. Sir, over here. They had found something strange. A large storage chamber filled with cryogenic pods. Most were dark, but a few still blinked with faint blue light. Kellen's eyes widened. These pods are still active. Someone is alive in there. He immediately contacted the ship. Commander, we've found survivors in cryosleep. They've been here for over 2 centuries. Halden's response was quick. Prepare them for transport. We'll bring them aboard for medical treatment. Hours later, the cryopods were transferred to the Horizon Lance. Medical teams worked carefully, restoring life to the frozen colonists. The first pod opened slowly, releasing a mist of cold air. A woman inside stirred weakly. She opened her eyes and looked around in confusion. Where am I? Halden stepped forward, his voice calm and gentle. You're safe now. You're aboard a Terran fleet ship. You've been asleep for a very long time. The woman blinked. How long? 200 years, Halden said, her eyes filled with shock. 200? We thought no one would ever come. You sent a call, he said. We heard it. Tears filled her eyes, but she smiled faintly. Then you answered it. Just like they said you would, Halden looked curious. Who said that? She pointed to an old data tablet she had kept near her pod. Our ancestors. They said Earth never forgets its children. Even if centuries pass, the Deathworlders will come. The words struck Halden deeply. He knew they had come for a reason beyond orders or duty. They had come because that was what humanity did, answer the forgotten cries of the lost. In the following days, the colonists slowly recovered. The doctors discovered that the storm that had destroyed their orbit station had also sealed them under layers of dust and rock, keeping them hidden for generations. Their technology was old but functional. Mira visited their main shelter where the survivors gathered. The walls were covered with old paintings of Earth's oceans and forests. Children born in the colony had never seen their home planet. Yet they painted it from memory passed down through stories. Mira spoke with the governor's descendant, a young man named Eli. Your people survived against all odds, she said. Eli nodded. We were taught never to give up hope. Every generation was told that someday a signal would be heard. And when it was, Earth would return. Mira smiled. You were right. Back on the Horizon Lance, Halden reported to Admiral Rowan. The transmission showed both men's faces in clear light. We found the lost colony, Halden said. A few hundred survivors remain. Their structures are intact, but they need relocation. Rowan's expression softened. You've brought them home after 2 centuries. History will remember this. Halden shook his head. It's not about history. It's about duty. They called and we answered. Rowan nodded in agreement. Then let this be known as the second dawn. Humanity doesn't abandon its own. Prepare a transport convoy. We'll bring them back to the Sol system. The day of departure arrived. The colonists stood at the edge of the landing bay, watching the stars through the transparent shield. The fleet formed a protective circle around their ship. It was a sight that filled them with both awe and peace. Governor Ilara Hayes, now fully awake and recovering, walked beside Halden. I thought we were forgotten, she said. But you came. Halden looked toward the shining stars. No one from Earth is ever forgotten. The galaxy might change, but that never will. As the ships prepared for the jump, the colonists gathered near the viewing window. They watched the fleet's engines ignite, lighting up the void. For them, it felt like the universe itself had come alive. When the fleet returned to known space, news spread faster than light. The council chambers lit up with excitement and disbelief. The humans had not only saved a foreign world, but had also brought home one of their own lost colonies. For the first time in centuries, there was no fear in the word Deathworlders. Now it meant something new: protectors, guardians, and saviors. On Earth, people filled the great plazas to welcome the returning ships. The colonists stepped onto the soil of their ancestral home, breathing fresh air and seeing blue skies they had only dreamed of. Cameras captured the moment as Governor Hayes raised the Terran flag once more. Mira watched from the ship's deck as the crowd cheered. "You know, Commander," she said, "it feels like humanity has finally found its place again." Halden nodded. "We never lost it. We just had to remember who we are." Weeks later, the galaxy was different. The Core Dominion no longer ruled by fear. Smaller species began to form alliances of peace. Even the Galactic Council invited Earth back as a permanent member. Humanity accepted, not as rulers but as partners. Commander Halden stood once more on the bridge of the Horizon Lance. The fleet was ready for a new patrol. The stars outside glowed brighter than ever. Mira joined him. "Another signal just came in," she said. "This one is from the frontier near the Varn Nebula. Unknown distress pattern." Halden smiled faintly. "Then we go again. Same orders?" she asked. "The same as always," he said. "We listen, we protect, and we remember." The engines roared to life. The ships turned toward the distant nebula. One by one, they vanished into the light,